Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Hot Perspectives, the show where we have franchise conversations that inspire. I wanted to take a moment to welcome my guest, Mauricio Mejia. Welcome, Mauricio. Mauricio is a franchise business coach and training expert in the franchising industry. We met almost 15 years ago working for a brand, and so happy for him to join me today to, I think, bring the audience in for some of the conversations that we have naturally as franchise professionals, but also as friends.
Thank you, Maliesa. It's somewhere between being nervous and terrified being here, but I know we have had these conversations many, many times throughout the years, and it's very important, very exciting being here with you.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is your very first time on the show, so just a quick rundown of how we do things here. We have this little baggie of questions.
Okay.
And we will take one question at a time, approach it honestly, openly, transparently. We are just giving our own professional, independent experiences, opinions. We're not representing any brands. Just want you to be honest about your perspective.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right.
Do I
Let's
get
get
to
into
pick?
it. Yes, you do.
Okay. Should I read it?
I'll
you
read
read it. Okay.
Okay. So, this is a good one.
I'm pretty sure all of them are.
How do you balance consistency in training across locations while still allowing for local flexibility?
Consistency. That's a good one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as you have clear what the message is, what it is important when it comes to operations, right? You know, I mean, we've been in the same business for a long time, and we have faced that when we have different locations, depending on where they are, right? Let's say a mall, let's say just a plaza, or I don't know, a playground, something that is seasonal. We know the challenges that these locations have, right? So we need to make sure that they are consistent in the way they do operations. But we have to be flexible because we find different challenges with these locations. Size, amount of employees. Are they working outside? They're working inside. Amount of people. You know, the product, how fast it goes, how much they have to prepare, how much they have to store. So how do you balance that? You know, making sure that you have very clear what are the essentials. This is what I cannot compromise.
Right.
Food safety, for example.
Right.
That's
yeah,
something.
we both come from a quick service restaurant background. We've been in restaurants our whole lives, so food safety paramount, non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable, right? And then how can you not compromise, but how can you be flexible with operations, right? Making sure the quality of the product, the service, customer service, and that doesn't get affected. Just analyze, Maliesa. It's like everything else. So look around, take your time, breathe, and see opportunities. How can we make this better without compromising the brand, our customers, the product?
Yeah. I agree with everything that you're saying. And you have a great point about taking a moment to pause and check in on the audience and the people that you're trying to reach or train. And as someone who has led training for different brands and developed training tools, I can honestly say things have to move at a speed of light.
I know.
And so slowing down to talk to people, to look at maybe the way things were done before, what went well, what didn't go well, considering things like layout, number of team members, other operational challenges. It's important to building and designing the training in a way that is accessible and scalable for everyone.
Because if that creates confusion,
Yeah.
like if you go with the same type of training, not taking into considerations all those aspects,
Yeah.
how can I tell you, you need to, I don't know, bake this amount of cookies and compare that to another restaurant that doesn't have the amount of ovens or, you know,
The capacity.
capacity to do that, right?
Right.
So how can we get there? You have to analyze the situations because it's different.
Yes.
We still need to make sure that those cookies or whatever it is, it gets baked at the right temperature for the right amount and the quality is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to make sure that those differences in timing or approach to the situation changes from location to location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember working with a brand. I think we might have been at the same one where we always developed training to be courses, e-learning courses. So training videos.
Yep.
And majority of the locations had back of house offices. So they had a computer to complete those courses on site at work. But then there were some locations that had no back office, had no computer. So we would essentially be asking team members or people to complete training on their personal devices or at home. So how do you work with brands to make sure that training is built in a way that considers, for example, the example I just shared?
That's a good question. That's a good point because unfortunately, a lot of times that type of training is just done for, which I know it is important. I know it needs to be done. That information needs to be passed on, right? But we cannot just leave it at that. That is just, did you see that course? Did you check that mark? Because that's what we see a lot, right? The things that you must do. Check, 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 check. Did you actually do it? Or was it your sister?
Right.
Or your best friend?
Right.
Where you were doing something else?
Right.
Did you understand the concept?
Right.
Who's asking you about that? Who's there to answer those questions for you?
Right.
And now, let's talk about any type of product. We don't need to mention anything in particular, but you need to make this product that takes, 4, 5, 10 hours to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have that video very clearly. But you're doing this training for a regular location.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have those little ones where the amounts are different.
Mm-hmm.
The quantities are so extra that video is not going to
resonate.
work.
It's not going to resonate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are going to think that they're doing something wrong.
Right.
So that's why you need to be flexible in that training department and say, okay, this is how it should be, but we are aware.
Adding context.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And being very careful that's the exception is just that.
Right.
An exception. It
Right.
doesn't become the rule. Because we have seen that many times. Oh, I have to do this because of that. And then, oh, that's what I'm doing. And then somebody else comes like, oh, I'm going to
do it a little bit different.
And all of a sudden,
and then consistency's out the window.
Out the window. It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's a tricky environment. And that's the reason why when it comes to, in the job of a business consultant or regional manager or however you want to call it, those visits are so powerful and important when they have, when you know what you're doing,
mm-hmm.
When they're focused,
mm-hmm.
when it's not just to go there and shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
Just go there, go and visit
field visits with a purpose.
With a purpose.
Right.
Not just to fill a check mark.
Right.
And that is the problem. But that comes with leadership, right? But when you have that purpose, you can analyze and see those situations and say, hey, let's go back to the original. This is how it is.
Right.
And continue with that consistency.
Right.
But you need to be consistent as well. in your
Right.
approach
Right.
to your franchisees, to the
Right.
team.
I like the idea of structuring field visits, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an executive or part of the marketing team, or hey, even if you're a mystery shop
Yeah.
program. I do like the idea of structuring visits with a purpose and with some level of structure so that there's consistency in the approach. And I think we'll talk a little bit about it later, but that piece you put on evaluating after the training, that level of confidence that can come from checking in to say, okay, not only did you check the box, but you actually retain the information and the product is being executed properly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good one. Consistency and franchising they go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was our first kickoff question.
Awesome.